So over on the far right, we have Holly, a freelance graphic designer specializing in social marketing, experience in social marketing, brand identity and print. Also a visiting lecturer at LIPA and LJMU. We have Gaby, founder and CEO of Twenties and Twenties Fest, the platform that helps people navigate their 20s with greater ease. We have Sana Aboarook, program facilitator at Agent Academy, who works to support young people to break into meaningful digital, creative and tech careers in the Northwest. And we have Marybeth, soon-to-be graduate from LJMU's fashion design course. Could I get a round of applause for our panelists, please? Thank you, everyone. So, without further ado, our first question for the hour is, so we're going to start going around, well, conversational, answer as you will, but we're going to start with Holly at the far end. How confident are you that you've discovered a satisfying purpose for your life?
I feel like that's quite a loaded question, so the way I always describe it is that I'm in my first season of Friends. I'm 25, so I've just started, so there's no pressure. I started graphic design when I was doing a pre-degree at university, and so I started selling books for a girls' charity called Girls Out Loud in Manchester, and that focused on bullying, eating disorders, and anxiety. And then when I left UCA, and went to university, I did a lot of work on racial inequality, gender inequality, and sort of disability awareness. So a lot of my projects stem around people and having conversations about real topics. And so when I left university, I was then able to become a part of a community that also had the same mindset, that was fully immersed in the community and wanted to help independent businesses and businesses on a larger scale. And so I feel like with the current position that I'm in, I'm extremely lucky and grateful because I've been able to keep that momentum and keep that passion throughout and work with people who think the same that I do.
So finding that sense of community and finding grounding in that. Thank you. Could I hear from Gaby, please?
Yeah, so in terms of feeling like I've got a sense of purpose in my role, I definitely do. Doing what I do nowadays, I think it would be really crazy if I didn't. Because especially I think when you're in the entrepreneurial space, like if you don't eat, sleep, breathe what you do, then it's really hard to get up each day. So I absolutely love it, and I definitely get a sense of purpose out of it. But it's taken me a while to get here. I definitely would have been one of those people who put my hand up when you said, has anyone ever had a job that you hated? Because that is me. I actually graduated from university. I went to University of Birmingham. I studied the psychology, the history, sociology of education. Everyone just said, oh, you're training to be a teacher. And that's all that I could really find in terms of job-wise once I left, because literally someone had put me in a box and said, you're going to be a teacher. So I did go and do my teacher training reluctantly. I knew from the moment that I stepped in to doing teaching that it wasn't necessarily for me. And I think you should always follow your gut, guys. Big mistake. But I did it for 2 years, and I got my teaching qualification. And now if you ask me whether you take that time away from me, and if I wouldn't do it again, I would do it because it taught me so much, you know, even speaking on stage and doing a lot of what I do in my current job definitely lends itself back to it. But it wasn't an enjoyable time in my life, and I cried nearly every day driving to work, being completely real. So after 2 years, I left and I moved into, I've definitely got a business head on my shoulder, so I moved into more of a corporate job, working in the events industry, managing events, before then taking the plunge into entrepreneurship. And I just feel like each step I've taken has got me closer to that feeling of fulfillment. And I'm sure there's more stuff that I'll do in my life where I feel like I've got that purpose, but it's just been edging close every step or move or brave decision that I've made to kind of step away from stuff that isn't fully purposeful. So that's me.
Awesome, thank you. And could I hear a little bit from Sana, please?
I was scared that this wasn't going to be on, so I was like, oh, I hope I don't have to fidget with this now. I would say I have found my kind of purpose, I feel like in life sounds really deep. But I would say that, yeah, I have, because of the journey that I've been on. It's been a little bit of a different one to like kind of the conventional route into work and things like that. So it was scary at first, but I feel like I've finally got that. And I got it quite early on, luckily, because I didn't really step into things that I didn't feel 100% about. In terms of like my journey of how I've got into that, I left sixth form in the midst of the pandemic, and I was like, uni is definitely not for me. I did not feel prepared enough to make a decision on something that I was going to dedicate my life to for 3 years and get myself into loads of debt, which was just not my ideal. So I heard about the Agent Academy program. Agent Academy is where I currently work. And I, throughout the program, realised that I actually had more of a passion of supporting people rather than just going into a career for like money. Obviously, money is, we all want money. But within the time that I spent on the program, and then luckily being recruited into the team as someone who had basically zero work experience beforehand, I was a bit nervous, but it was kind of, it felt right. And because I was stepping into a role where I had been on the other side of it, I'd been a part of the program, and now I'm on the other side of it, supporting people who've been in the same position as me not that long ago. I just felt like that was the right thing for me, and to be able to support people and change lives is really purposeful for me, because I know that I needed that, and luckily I did get that. So yeah, I feel like, did I answer that right? Hopefully.
Absolutely. I'm sensing a little bit of a theme, like transformation and steps taken, like across the board, taking those like steps of courage and bravery, I think, to kind of really progress your journey and feel through it. Marybeth.
Hi. Is this on? Okay. Sorry. Sorry. I'm actually at a completely different point in my journey, on the sense that I can say that I'm very confident I have a sense of purpose in each path decision that I'm making, but to be confident I have a sense of purpose within my life would be premature for me to be confident on, in the sense that I've not begun my career yet. And I suppose it's exactly like was referenced by Gaby, is that you can make mistakes and you can rectify them. So I may not have the confidence now that I have a sense of purpose in my life, but I do have the confidence, absolutely, that I will have a sense of purpose in my life. And I suppose I can reflect then and go, do I have a sense of purpose within my education and my degree? I do. So I suppose that's kind of where I've taken.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for the comments. And yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me, and hopefully the audience as well, is discovering purpose. It's not a one-time thing. Like, these are all journeys of transformation and introspection, which is not something easy to do, and it's not something that comes like. The patience can be excruciating, frustrating, and uncomfortable, and you're all on the path. So my next question for the panel is: how do you feel passion has informed the direction you've taken in your work? Starting with Holly again, please.
So I feel like I answered this in the previous question, but I definitely, I'm extremely passionate about graphic design, helping businesses, helping individuals, and being a part of a creative community. And I feel like when I left university, I was looking for businesses who thought the same that I had. And so passion for me has always driven my design. And so whether it's been personal or public, it's always something that I've believed in. And so that doesn't mean that every project is going to tackle all of the things that I'm extremely passionate about, but I know that I'm working with people who think the same that I do.
Just to pick up on that, so it's something you believe in, finding those things that you believe in. How could, like many of the audience, business owners involved in businesses, how can they communicate that? How can they show that sense of belief, if that makes sense? How can they let you know if, like, really clearly communicate that?
I think just open and honest conversations, really. When I first started freelancing, I was completely transparent with the fact that I was a new freelancer, that there were mediums that I didn't specialise in, but there were mediums that I was really excited and wanted to be involved in. And it was those businesses that took a chance on someone who they didn't have to take a chance on, and created an environment where I could ask questions and, and I could get that support I needed in order to then be fully confident and fully fledged and knew that I was in the right position. I hope that answers the question.
No, that's great. Honesty and support, we all need it, especially on a journey of self-discovery with finding to recognize what resonates with us. So yeah, thank you. Gaby?
I'm going to take you back to my very dark place when I was teaching and I was like, this isn't for me. And I did a bit of an activity that I think you should do at any point, whether you love your job, whether you hate your job. I think this is like something that everyone should have a go at. But essentially I wrote down like the things that were like most valuable to me in my life, whether they were in my job or not in my job, my values, my strengths. And I kind of did that thing, and you just spoke about introspection. And sometimes it's a bit weird to sit down and think very deeply about yourself and, what am I good at? What are my strengths? What do I love doing? What do people say I'm good at as well, like from a little bit of like the outside point of view. And I wrote down this list, and I started to circle like where I was getting that fulfillment in my current role that I was in. And then I'd highlighted in like a different color, like, okay, I'm really not getting that. I'm really not getting that. And I'm really not getting that. And so when I started looking at like, okay, how can I move in my direction into a career that ticks every single one of those things? I could then start to look at other jobs and go, would that help tick one of those things? Like, would that give me the freedom to do this? And would that give me the freedom to do that? And that's possible within organizations as an entrepreneur, like changing careers, travel, location. It really is about finding out your whole identity, having that bit of like introspection and go, is everything that I'm doing ticking all of the boxes that I want to do? And that's a really nice, and it's a privilege to be in that position, by the way. A lot of people just have to take a job because it's a job, it pays the bills and stuff like that. But there's obviously a difference for a lot of people in doing a job that pays the bills and doing something that you absolutely love every single day. And I think if you do want to lean into that, doing what you love every single day, you kind of have to have that introspection and go, this is ticking all this. And you know what? It might be that, I did all of this early on, but you can't leave teaching with like 1 week's notice. Like, you have to give a lot of time. So this is something that you can be working towards slowly. I think a lot of us want overnight and quick wins, but this is just a little cog that you can turn in your head that goes, actually, I'd really like to move my career in that direction. It can just be subtle things that you go, okay, I'm going to take a Friday off because I'm going to look after my grandkids on that day because I value family, and I'm going to work a 4-day week, and that works for me. Like, it's the littlest things that you can go, how do I get my life going down that path? And sometimes that little bit of extra introspection is so important.
Just to pick up on that slightly, do you feel kind of like as a culture, in work culture, how do you feel we could better encourage that? Because that kind of links back to honesty, right? It's a space that we can, like really investigate ourselves. And that's not always the easiest thing, especially like if you're in a job that you have to work, as you say, like then there's responsibilities that come with that, kind of social responsibilities. How do you think we as people might do a better job in creating that space for introspection?
Yeah, I think obviously when you're doing it from an employee perspective, like you're asking either you've got to change or the environment around you's got to change. And I think sometimes having that honest and open communication between yourself and your manager, and you're never going to get all of those things on your list. Like, we're all living in a dream world that everyone knows the perfect life doesn't exist. But, having those open conversations said, it would actually really help me if we didn't book meetings in the middle of the day, in the middle of the morning, and then in the middle of the morning in the afternoon, because I can never get any work done once I'm like in and out of those meetings. I'd really like to just get those meetings done in the morning and try and, in the afternoon work on X, Y, Z. That would really help me. And that's how you best work, and you can communicate that. I think the more that we have those open conversations from an employer's perspective, be open to hearing it, and from an employee's perspective being, asking the most appropriate way and trying to say, look, I want to get the best out of my job. I want to feel happy and like purposeful. I think is again, like what you said, open, honest conversation.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much. Sana?
like Holly said before, I feel like I already kind of answered this in my first answer. But I'd say passion-wise, because I've obviously spoken about the support side of things, I want to look more into the fact that I'm really passionate about collaboration. I really love being able to actually work with people rather than just being an individual and just like one cog in this whole system. And I'd say that's collaboration in my personal life and also in my professional life. I think being able to connect young people, for example, in my professional life, connecting young people with employers and helping them get into long-lasting, meaningful careers, that's really important to me because I know exactly how they feel when they're when they're at that point where they just don't know where to turn, where to go. And I think another example of like the collaboration side of things, and also it feeds in a lot to the support side of things. I became friends with Holly literally just through conversations because we work in the same building, and to be able to connect her with other people and for her to also do that for me has been really meaningful. I actually connected her with my mum's business, which she did the branding for, which is incredible, by the way. But it's all very much about support and collaboration, and I think when you're able to work as a team, whether it be like as a team in work or just as a team of individuals, it's really meaningful, and that's what I care most about, I think, just because I know what it feels like to be a little bit lost and to not know where to turn and who to talk to, but I've been supported into that place, so now I like to give back to the community.
No, thank you, Sana. Really highlighting the importance for support, especially as working with like younger individuals, times of uncertainty, like actually having the space to be honest about, I don't know what I want. I haven't got it figured out yet. So yeah, thank you. Marybeth.
So when it comes to me and passion in my decisions has informed everything so far because of the standpoint I'm at with being at a creative degree in a creative institution, and I'm about to graduate. So actually, the passion here for me is something I have to consciously choose to carry on with my next decisions. So for me, it's all about holding on to that passion, holding on to what I enjoy, what I love the most, and taking that with me when I make my next steps. So it's obviously incredibly inspirational to hear everybody else's points of view and everything else everyone has to say. And it's really for me about reinforcing within myself that I will hold on to that passion and I will take that with me when I'm making my decisions. When I'm speaking to people, I know that I can actually connect with them on that passionate front. I've always had this very strong sense of justice. So for me, I know that that will naturally bring me towards people who have a similar way of thinking and a similar way of working. So it's about the confidence as well that we acknowledged earlier. Being confident in your passion with what you do and what you work with. I'm obviously still at a privileged point where I can say, yes, everything's always been passionate because everything's always been full of passion for me, because I'm at that point in my degree where I've not had to make that sacrifice to take a job that I don't like to get the job that I will like. But I know that I will then go on to do that.
Thank you. And do you letting that passion drive you and being in that space of experimentation, what could business owners and employers do to help you explore that, facilitate that?
I think for me, I'm personally looking straight off the bat for someone that clearly can identify me as somebody with strengths and individualism that can be used. That's kind of what purpose is really, is looking at yourself and knowing for yourself that what you have as a person, what you enjoy doing as a person, is completely utilizable and is not being neglected. And I suppose when looking at employers, it's a matter of evaluating, yes, I think that employer would understand me on an individual basis, what I could provide to a team, versus this employer will possibly just need me as a part of their cohort, rather than someone who can individually push and progress and contribute to the cause of the work.
Kind of personability, kind of relating to Sana's point on, do you feel like just another cog in the wheel, or do you feel like you're part of a community, you're part of building something, you're part of connection and collective. Thank you. Our third question for the afternoon, what moments have been pivotal in helping you to define your sense of purpose? Starting with Holly, please.
No pressure. So whilst I was at university, I was working in Ditto Coffee for the 3 years. Towards my third year of university, I took on a in-house design job at It's Mental, and I got an internship at Black & Ginger. And so I was able to talk to designers at the coffee shop and sort of, get to know them a bit better and, get them to tell me what it was like working in the agency. Because I thought when I finished university that it was just a dream, because I can't make a living off being creative. Like, people always say that I need to go and do something else. So I became fully immersed in the community once I had the confidence to talk to the community in my third year at university. And then that sort of snowballed. So then I took a job from a customer who came in for a latte and then was like, I have a branding job for you. So I took that on. And so it got to the point where I was working maybe 3 jobs. I started freelancing on top of that. And then it wasn't until I bumped into an old lecturer of mine and I discussed possibly going freelance, and he set me up with the support at LJMU, and I was able to have an advisor who spoke me through the steps of possibly going freelance. And then I was able to talk to the designers and the creative agencies and the studios who I'd actually become friends with, and then start to say, well, I'm looking for work. Of course, you don't have to give me any, but even if I can shadow you for a month, 2 months, 3 months, that'd be great. And so that was the pivotal moment for me.
Just to kind of really hone on that, or like, if you didn't get that mentorship, do you think you would have pursued, like, if that door hadn't been unlocked for you, like through just people talking about it to you, that mentorship, do you think you would have been able to take that path?
I was very lucky. I think the university was able to CC me in with Tom, who ended up advising me in the end. But I was also given the opportunity to work in this shed in the Baltic Creative. The university granted 3 students to get involved in the community and work in the shed. And so I felt like that gave me the confidence to then be like, well, you saw me in the coffee shop, but I'm here as well. And so the advisor, he definitely helped. I think I was a bit clueless at first. I definitely went in more naive, which I think was actually better in the long term, because when it was a shock, I was like, well, I'm in it now, so I'm going to do it. But being a part of the community and being open and honest and transparent with them was the pivotal point for me, which has now meant that I'm working for the agencies and the studios that I was originally asking to shadow 5-6 years ago. That was definitely the pivotal point for me.
Oh, thank you. Is that like community unlocking opportunities?
Definitely.
Awesome, thank you. Gabby, please.
I actually agree with a lot of that you were saying there. I think a lot of this comes down to believing that you can. And I think maybe we all start off our careers, I certainly started off my careers thinking that, you have to follow a certain path and it's got to go this way, and you're not, adult life is just hard, you're not meant to enjoy it and stuff. And I think once you start believing that you can do the things that feel a little bit out of the ordinary and not what you expected you could do. Like, I never thought I'd ever employ anyone in my life. Like, I never thought I'd employ a team. I never thought I'd run a bread business because no one around me did. And so I never really saw that modeled. And I think I agree with the kind of the mentorship comment, where sometimes you need someone externally to say, I believe in you. I think you can do it. And I think that when you find yourself in situations where someone says, they give you an opportunity, that kind of says, I believe that you can do this, grab it with both hands and go, okay, if they believe in me, I need to start believing in myself more, that I can do this. Because if you'd have told me this even 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, whatever, you're having me on. But I do think it's a lot about believing in yourself and finding and listening to the people when they tell you you can do what you think you can't. They're probably right. So, and what's that saying? I'm going to try and sound like an inspirational quote on Instagram now. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're probably right. I think it comes down to that at the end of the day.
No, thank you very much. Sana?
I'd probably second everything that these two have said, to be fair. But I'd say a pivotal moment for me was just, obviously I was quite privileged in the way where I knew that I didn't need to go to university. I knew that I could just kind of find another path. But I'd say the pivotal moment was me actually stepping into something fresh out of sixth form that was quite scary, because there was other people who were on the course who were much older than me, had more experience than me, and were just kind of there just to upskill. And I was like, well, I'm just a little girl at this point. But I'd say that it was a really pivotal moment to be able to be part of a course that was free and part-time, and just something for me to actually build my skills on and actually be able to make decisions and figure out what it was that I wanted, because we had access to so many speakers and industry experts who were able to tell me about their experience and able to tell me a little bit about what they do. And that kind of helped me realize that I need to be passionate about what I'm going to go into, which is why I ended up deciding to take the job at Agent Academy, and also because I was just excited that I was going to get my first big girl job. But it worked out in the end. And I think also because I could see that Agent Academy was doing meaningful work, it made me want to work for them more. Our client challenge that we worked on, because it's a real life client brief that we get per program, was with the Anthony Walker Foundation, and it was about creating a campaign for their new hate crime reporting tool. And I'm really passionate about that, being someone who is ethnic, living in Liverpool, which is not the most diverse place ethnically, but you get your areas. But to be able to work on a real challenge and also be able to put my own kind of like personal experience or personal kind of knowledge into something just was really meaningful for me. And I think that's why I've ended up deciding that any kind of role that I take on, leading on from this point, whether it be with Agent Academy or elsewhere, I need to be passionate about it, because that's what helped me realise, oh, this is actually what I want to do because I care, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely...
I feel like I said care like 100 times then.
No, it absolutely does. And kind of a theme from Holly, Gaby, and Sana, your points, like creating the space for people to find themselves, and like having the encouragement in that space to actually like, not just like offhandedly like, oh yeah, I think you can do it, like seeing the potential in people and letting that potential come to fruition. So yeah, thank you. Marybeth.
I think I'm probably going to refer to again. I think for me right now, I'm at the pivotal point in my career, in my progression, where I want to go next with the purpose. But there has been points where I think have been absolutely pivotal. For example, I almost didn't go to university because I deemed it a waste of time to study a creative subject, which obviously everyone gets told if they want to study a creative subject. But actually, that was completely pivotal in my confidence, in my sense of self, in my sense of purpose. Just completely, that was the moment when I made that decision to go to university, that I made the decision to believe in myself. Just like the others have referenced, like Gaby said, if you don't believe in yourself, then you can't do it effectively. And there's no way whatsoever that I'd have even made it this far had it not been for believing in myself. And for that now, it's just a matter of really acknowledging, now that I'm on that path, I get to choose what path I carry that energy with me on and forwards. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And we'll be moving to Q&A in a second. So just to close the talk, in a few short sentences, what message would you like to leave the audience with today? Holly?
I practiced this in my head loads of times, and now I can't remember what I practiced. So I would just say go for it, really. I would say at the end, I mean, I was incredibly anxious at uni. I thought I wasn't going to achieve what I wanted to achieve, and then it took 1, 2, 3 people to say, actually, I really like your design work. I think you've got potential, but you have to believe in yourself, otherwise we can't. So I would just say take the risk, because at the end of the day, you're in an environment, in a community where you can go and ask questions. You're not entirely on your own. So yeah, I would just say take the risk, ask the questions, be transparent, because if you're not transparent, then how are the business owners or the individual that you're talking to, how can they be transparent with you? So that's my takeaway.
Thank you. Gabby, please.
Yeah, I think all the research shows that a happy person, a happy team, a happy employer are those that are working towards purposeful and meaningful goals. So I think the closer that you can align yourself to what does purpose, we initially have to ask ourselves that question, what does a purposeful career look like for me? And we have to actively be aware of that in order to be able to make any change in our life going forward. So first of all, you have to do that introspection before you then can make outwards moves. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sana?
I kind of have two different perspectives for this, but I think if you're a young person and you're kind of still figuring out what your journey is, don't be afraid to take the not very conventional route, because it can work. You've just got to find the right place for you. Not everyone has the same journey. We talk about this thing in Agent Academy where we all have squiggly careers, where we've gone on to like 100 different things, or like tried loads of different roles or different places. And I think that's really valuable, because any experience is good experience. And I think if you're an expert who's already in industry, just giving back to the community, mentoring, giving support where you can, offering kind of time to young people or even colleagues who are new to the team, being able to share your own experiences or your insights to them can be really valuable, because I found that really valuable. And just talk to everyone, just literally chat with everyone, and then you end up finding out so many different things about yourself from conversations that you have that you probably didn't think about before.
Thank you, Sana. Marybeth, please.
I think the message I'd like to really leave on is to have the confidence to actually make the decision going forward that does not compromise who you are or what your beliefs and ideals are. That's really the most difficult part, because you've got to balance, the survival aspect of getting a job with the actual aspect of enjoying it and staying true to who you are. And if you have the privilege to do that, absolutely take the leap of faith to do that with as much full force confidence as you can.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Could I get a round of applause for our panelists?